Okay. So now it shows me broadcasting live.
Yeah. I'm looking to see. It's on a delay, so I'm going to take it out. It's on the home. It's on a delay. It takes a minute.
Good morning, Washington families. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you're having a chance to get a little lunch break. Although it's currently showing 0 viewers for me. Are you under the Washington website or is it now? Okay, now I've got 2 viewers, so now it's showing. So
Yeah,
you can
it's on a delay.
you can hear pretty well. Hey, good morning, Washington viewers. We're just getting set up for our principal live stream chat. We're going to be learning about elective integration. And if I'm standing over here, I'm fine. And if Mrs. Kaczewski, if we stand on either side of the banner, we're in a good place. So I'm going to wait for a few more people to come on live. We've currently got 2 viewers.
Oh, yeah, I can. Did you see that? Yeah. I'm going to scroll. Yeah, just make sure you turn the volume down.
We're just getting set up. Thanks so much for joining us. Looks like we have 3 viewers. We're just waiting for a few folks to arrive, so we'll be starting in about the next 2 minutes. So if you're joining us during your lunch break, please take a moment to open up your sandwich or enjoy your cup of coffee. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. I'm just going to have Ms. Tuttle send out a tweet for us saying that we're now live on our streaming, and folks can see that by going to our Washington website. Okay, about 1 more minute and then we'll get started. All right, well, we've got a few viewers that just came on and joined us. So I guess you got our tweet or our email from earlier today for the principal chat. Hope the weather where you are is just as pretty as it is here in Washington today. A nice sunny Monday morning. So thank you for coming on and tuning in to find out about our principal chat. And today's focus is about our elective program, which is the really the key component about who we are as a gifted and talented magnet school. Sometimes parents say, Mr. Grant, what is it that really goes on with an elective, and how is an elective different from the core instruction that our students normally have? And we use that word core instruction that has to do with the reading, writing, and math, but also science and social studies that students in kindergarten through 5th grade are doing with their homeroom teachers. But you know, at a gifted and talented magnet, one of the key pieces about who we are is our elective program. And the purpose of having electives is to really take deep dives into content areas for students to be able to explore and be exposed to a whole range of different gifts and talents that they might have. That could be in the arts, it could be in the sciences, it could be in literature, it could be having to do with physical activity, you name it. There's a lot of ways for kids to really have a chance to learn and grow beyond the typical core instruction in the classroom. But one of the things that we want to help sort of frame for you today is thinking about what is the role of core, reading, writing, and math, and electives. So what should you expect if your kindergartner or 3rd grader or 5th grader is going to an elective and it's a drama elective, or it's an aeronautics elective, or it's a fantasy writing elective? What should you be expecting for your child to be doing while they're there? And one of the things that I think is our biggest strengths is to draw on skill sets of teachers and professionals in their field and use that as a springboard for students to explore areas while really applying reading, writing, and math skills. What better way for a child to learn how to be an effective communicator, whether it's a writer or a speaker, or how to effectively use math to explore and understand the world around them, than to apply that through different electives they're taking. So you're not really learning in isolation, you're using how to use those skills in a meaningful way. So we're going to have a number of different people talking with you today. We're going to have our magnet coordinator, Mrs. Wilkinson, who's going to give a little bit more of an overview about our elective program and give some examples of some different electives that we have at Washington and what you might expect if your child's going to be working in those electives. And then I brought in 2 of our specialists, Sonia Drum, our fantastic art teacher, and our amazing PE teacher, Sarah Kachevsky. And they're going to give you some firsthand input about what do they do within their own electives to help integrate core, but also to make sure that students are really exploring that content area for which they're so well equipped to teach. So I'm going to invite Ms. Wilkinson to come on up and give a little overview of the elective program.
Good morning, Washington families. Thank you for joining us today. I just wanted to share a little bit about our elective program. Today we start 2nd quarter electives, so we've got lots of new electives happening in the building today. Your child might be taking I've Got Character or Cradles of Civilization. They could be taking Technology Wizards or Computer Critters. There's lots of different electives that we try and divide into 2 different categories. One being our core electives, which are reading, writing, math, science, or social studies electives. And then we have those electives that we classify as other electives. Those could be from our performing arts. They could be from our visual arts. They could be a PE elective or a foreign language. For our upper grades, that could be an online language, our Chinese, French, or German. Or it could be from our dance electives or a technology elective. We really like to try and focus on the whole child and have them take a balanced schedule. We feel like that's very important to give them opportunities in lots of different areas. So we encourage you, and especially in our upper grades, to make sure that you're fulfilling those requirements, to make sure that they are taking electives from both the core subjects and from the other subjects. One of the biggest questions that I get, and I have some numbers to share with you today, is how do you fit all of your core instruction in when you have the electives? So our kindergarten students spend 4,860 minutes or 81 hours in electives. Our first and second grade students spend 8,100 minutes or 135 hours. And our third through fifth graders spend 10,800 minutes or 180 hours in electives each year. And I really think those are powerful numbers. And something that we've worked with our staff the past couple of years is how can we incorporate our core instruction, our reading, our writing, our math in those electives to make sure that they're getting the most that they can from them. So we've done staff development here with our staff where they can focus on incorporating some core essential standards into their electives. And just to give you a few examples of those, you can have in public speaking and debate. Students are working on writing opinion pieces. So they're getting instruction on how to write in piece that they would normally be getting in their core classroom, but they're getting that through an elective. In chess, students are working on their oral language skills and how to, a lot of the Common Core standards are focused on speaking and listening. So they're working on those skills of how to listen to their partner when they're trying to explain a new strategy and then having to repeat that back to them. They're also working on how-to writing and this is how things go from this step to this step. So they're working on those core reading and writing objectives through their elective. The same thing goes for kitchen chemistry. They're working on those informational texts and the how-to writing. You could possibly be looking at computer webmasters, and students are working with our eWise research model and identifying primary documents and figuring out how to cite sources. So all writing objectives that students would be working on in their core classrooms are being filtered down to our electives. Students in characters on trial might be working with graphing and incorporating math objectives into that social studies elective. So we try and challenge all of our teachers to find ways to integrate the core subjects, reading, writing, and math into their elective and to have that be part of the focus that they're working on. I believe now we're going to have our two specialists, Ms. Drum and Ms. Kaszewski, are going to come up and share some specific examples of how they have integrated core into their specials electives. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. I'm Sonia Drum. I'm the art teacher at Washington. First off, I just want to say how fortunate I am to teach at a magnet school because I'm here trying to encourage students to celebrate their gifts and talents, but I also am able to share my gifts and talents because I teach amazing electives like behind the scenes. You may or may not know, I'm a professional scenic and costume designer who works in the Triangle area. And for me, I don't feel like I can really teach art unless I'm making art at the same time. And through my behind the scenes elective, I'm able to share some of the things I'm doing within like a real-time basis with the kids so they can understand how what they're learning connects to occupations and connects to the real world. Also, theater design is a really great area to kind of hit all of the points from the core curriculum in any subject because you're able to take math through measurement and design. You're also able to take reading because you have to take the play and analyze the play. you're able to take all these things and the visual arts, painting, prop making, design, and put them together. And to me, I think it's a great collaboration with other people as well. So they get so many different pieces and kind of putting them together into one thing. I also feel like when you have students come into an elective, first thing they do, they want to paint. They come to me and they're like, let's do it. Let's make the scenery now. But I really have encouraged them to slow down. Let's look at the play. Let's figure out the setting. What is a setting? What are the connections you can take from what you're learning about in your language arts and apply to how we're basically analyzing the play? Also, how does measurement, what's the point of measurement? You can't just go build something without measurement. How do you take those specific math skills and apply them? We've worked on learning how to read a tape measure, learning how to draw things in scale. And for me, art is about learning tools and being able to apply tools. So for me as a set designer, I use a program called Google Sketchup, and I'm able to use that to formulate designs. And I'm also sharing that with the students because we're able to take that program and look at our library in 3 dimensions and figure out where the pieces and parts go. I'm also going to be teaching them how to manipulate that software. I'm going to show you just a couple of examples of how I use a 3D drawing and modeling program to create set designs. Let me get a little closer. The kids really, I find, ask some amazing questions when they're able to reflect on real things that they're seeing. I recently have been working on a production at Duke University, and I was able to make videos for the students so that they were able to see what the scenic painter does, see what the lighting designer does, see what all of the different facets are and how they all come together in kind of one thing. Aside from behind the scenes, I just taught a class called Astounding African American Artists. We were able to kind of learn how culture impacts how we're able to create art. And the biggest thing is learning how to read a painting. And I hit on that in a lot of my classes. How do you feel about the painting? What do you see? What do you think? And how that feeds into what you create. So not only are we analyzing the work of others, but we're able to then go back and look at our own work and analyze it. Much like they are editing a draft of a paper, we're able to analyze mid-project and then at the end, reflecting upon the whole process. I also really like when I can incorporate literature in an elective. So in that specific elective, we took Faith Ringgold's Tar Beach, and we're able to read the text and talk about what it really meant. And then I use that text as a starting point. I don't know if you guys know the text or not, but it's about a girl who basically imagines she can fly at night over the city and all the places that she can go. And so I had students do a little bit of writing related to where would they go? How would they fly? If they could fly, where would they go? What would they do? And also talking about how that connects to their dreams and aspirations. There's so many connections, and in closing, I really feel like integration of core can seem daunting sometimes, but in art's connected to everything. So I really want the students to understand those connections, and they might want to jump in and paint, but if they step back and we're able to learn those connections and the techniques at the same time, I think the artwork is a lot more fruitful and they get a more meaningful experience. I think Sarah Kay is going to come up right now.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Kashevsky. I'm the PE teacher here at Washington Elementary, and I wanted to share with you just different ways that I incorporate different core subjects into our activities, our units, different things like that. So for example, I teach a new games elective, and in our new games elective, we learn about the elements of games. So it needs to have a title, it needs to have how many people might need to be in this activity. Where is the safest place for this activity? What are the rules? What are the equipment? So all of these things are broken down into different elements of creating games. And I have the students work together, and they have to break down each individual element for that. So they decide, what type of a game would I like to play? Is it a tag game? Is it a relay game? Is it a cooperative game? And so they work together on that. And then they have to create, what is the objective of the game? How do I know when the game starts? How do I know when the game finishes? And so they work together and collaborate and create all of these things. And it's a trial and basis. So I have them go and try the game. And if they find out, oh, well, I didn't know, maybe we need to add maybe one more rule in there to keep them safe. Or maybe I didn't know, another group didn't know how my game ended. So I need to go back and they revise just like they would if they were writing a paper. They would revise before they would have a final draft. Other ways, in track and field elective, we do fitness testing. And so we really focus on cardiovascular fitness. And so when we do that, we have our PACER test that we do, and I have them take it the first day of class. And then we talk about, how do I make a SMART goal? How do I make a goal for myself? How do I know that by the time that where I started at, it's going to be an achievable goal and it's in a timely manner? So we talk about that throughout that. At the end of our class, we take a post-test and then we reflect on it. We look back and say, hey, I need to look at my goal. Was I able to achieve that? If I was, what is the next step? How can I improve on that the next time? Or if I didn't quite meet that goal, what are the steps that I need to do in order to reach that at another timely date? Just some other ways that we incorporate literacy or math. The kids are like, this is my favorite game. We'll play warm-up games and they're like, oh, we just did math, or we're doing reading, or, and so in K2, we play a game called Spell It. There are letters that are painted on the walls, and they come in, they pick up a sight word, and they go and find that. They decide, what locomotor movement? Maybe I want to skip. So I'm going to go skip to each of the letters, give it a high five, and then go and complete the rest of the word. Once I'm finished, I bring it back in the middle, I set it down, and then I pick up another one. Kids love it. They're like, I spelled 12 words today, which was fantastic. And I have them help each other out. If they're not sure what the word is, having a friend try and help them sound it out and things like that. We also, the rock wall, our traverse wall, is phenomenal. In K2 and also 3-5, there are different activities. I have students that will come up and they get a chance to climb, and their partner has to circle all of the different letters that they were able to high five on the wall. Then they switch. After that's completed, then they have to create as many words as they can with the letters that they touched on the wall. To increase that with our 3-5, I had beginnings and ends of words, so I split them apart. They had to climb, and then they had to work together to build that word together, or build a product of a mathematical equation, things like that. I actually gave them a chance to create their own, and they had so much fun creating their own and putting them up on the wall, which was fantastic. Kids learning to score in bowling. I know so many times we go to the bowling alley, super easy, it's right up on the board. It adds it up for them, but our kids are learning in their PE elective how to score in bowling, which is fantastic. Just learning those basic skills and things like that. That if the computer wasn't working, how would we know what my score is? And we also do creative writing prompts. And I'll tell them, you have 30 seconds left in the game, you have the basketball, how does the game end? And they get to create and write out their writing prompt for that. It's really amazing to see all the different endings of what could happen in the game. These are just a couple ideas, but the kids have a blast with them. Thank you.
Well, it was great to hear some firsthand experiences from our amazing teachers that we have at Washington. I'm just so fortunate to be working in a learning community that has teachers who have a real passion about what they teach, experience in that field, and they help bring those experiences alive. And again, that can be an elective taught by a third grade teacher who's teaching a kitchen chemistry elective, or it could be a teacher who's teaching aeronautics, or a teacher who's teaching coding. The importance is that we want to equip our students with core skills, reading, writing, and math, and have real opportunities to apply them while exposing them to and having a chance to do a deeper dive through meaningful content exploration in our electives. Both of those are critical and they go hand in hand. One without the other doesn't really have a complete picture. But when we can have kids learning in a real meaningful way through the elective program, that really enables them to shine. And it sees how they can apply those reading, writing, or math skills in ways that they really need to do that to learn or to experience something new. I'm just not doing math or writing in isolation because it's writing time. No, I'm actually doing it because I need to be able to do that to better understand my subject area, whether I'm in dance or in music and I'm talking about quarter notes or eighth notes. What connections is the teacher making to help students better understand fractions? We don't just learn about fourths or eighths just for that simple reason of being able to spit that out. We need to be able to do that when we're applying it to dance or applying it to music. Remember, if you're watching this live, which is Monday morning, November the 6th, you can email me in right now at bgrant@wcpss.net if you have any questions about our elective program or questions about how we do core integration. Again, that's bgrant@wcpss.net. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what your own child's experiences are, and I can share that out with the other viewers who are viewing it live, or with people later on who want to watch this in the evening or some other day when they're free. So I'll wait a moment to see if we have any people who have some live questions, and we will also give you a chance to give feedback. You can also use the live chat box to the right of the video that you're watching if you would like to send us a message or a comment about our principal chat today or about the elective program in general. If you're sending an email, it's helpful to put principal chat in the subject line, and that will help us quickly access your email. But also you can use that chat box to the right of the video that you're watching right now. I'll just wait a few more seconds to see if anybody has some comments before we wrap up. Again, I hope today's live stream was helpful to you, whether you're viewing it during a lunch break or whether you're watching it later on some evening. At Washington, we're here to support you, to challenge and grow your kids. I hope you have a stronger understanding about how core, reading and writing math, is a critical partner in what we do in our elective program. In isolation, one or the other is not going to grow our kids. Together, they're going to really make meaningful meaning within the work they're doing in our elective program. Thank you so much for coming in today, and look forward to seeing you in our building throughout the year. Have a great morning.